topic of race brings about the issue of racism, something that has become so ubiquitous throughout society that people decide to ignore it, consequently creating an endless void of problems for minorities throughout the history of the United States. Inevitably, the issue of racism has become more prominent in schools, thus passing down bad habits amongst younger and naive individuals. No matter the level of education, whether it be elementary, high school, or college, the nuisance of racism must be combated with the awareness of its presence amongst all communities. This digital short will cover the numerous aspects which affect minority college students in the Los Angeles area that are widespread throughout their daily lives. Nevertheless, organizations such as the African Student Union of UCLA and Liberty Hill, along with the author Kendi, focus on the reconciliation and awareness of these groups, establishing their importance in the community. The Liberty Hill Foundation is geared towards fighting inequality in schools and uplifting the minority communities in the Los Angeles area. Racism within the school system varies, with specific foundations, such as the Liberty Hill Foundation, combating this issue. This nonprofit organization is used as a source of uplifting transformative justice in the community, as well as implementing social movements for social equality. Districts within the Los Angeles area predominantly include the Hispanic or Latino community at 65.2%, African Americans at 7.5%, and other non-white races combining at 13.2%, according to the Los Angeles County Office Board of Education. With more of these organizations lending a helping hand on the issue of racism within schools in the Los Angeles area, the effects will be minimized. The foundation of Liberty Hill understands the challenges students face daily and attempts to install youth-led activism to allow students to understand the circumstances students of color are under. Eventually, in the dynamic amongst minority communities of Los Angeles will display positive changes in the youth along with their priorities. The author Ibrahim X. Kendi serves as a voice of reconciliation and awareness of racism being widespread, which gives insight on the importance of minority perspectives. Numerous aspects of racism that play a role in the daily experiences of minorities range from overall behavior in school, which affects their view on themselves as students. With inequalities being more evident in Los Angeles school systems when it comes to funding, this will lead to a mixture of emotions for colored students. Kendi brings up past experiences, such as stating, "A heightened sensitivity to the glares from teachers who saw my black body not as a plant to be cultivated, but as a weed to be plucked out of their school and thrown into their prison." In Kendi's writings, he brings up the point of racial groups being pinned against each other, consequently leading to a spiral of misunderstood emotions within the minority communities of Los Angeles. These minority students are possibly subjected to unwarranted cultural expectations from peers and teachers. A study has been found from Hua Yu Sebastian Schering, an assistant professor of international education at New York University's Steinhardt School of Education, stating, "Teachers' expectations of students matter, and that they tend to underestimate the academic abilities of students of color." Someone like Kendi, who's brought up in feeling displaced amongst his community of Queens, New York, displays confusion and irritation as a colored student. The African Student Union of UCLA and other student unions across the Los Angeles area serve as community centers to ward off racial issues in school systems. Student unions implemented in schools are important for those who might be struggling finding a sense of belonging on campus. A sense of belonging or community can positively bolster a student's developmental skills as well as presenting opportunities for future possibilities. For example, the African American Student Union at UCLA is known to protect and serve the interests of their participants throughout their school years. That student union is only a part of thousands of other student unions focused on the needs of their individuals. which is used as an outlet that helps against the fight of racism or any sort of discriminatory matter. Another student union program called EOP, or Educational Opportunity Program of Cal State LA, was founded during the 1960s and 1970s to combat social injustice for minority students, women, and farm workers. Within these student union programs, a demand for advocacy of anti-racism throughout school campuses are on the rise, along with more inclusion, collaboration, and student and support for students. Without these groups for students to rely on while on school grounds, they could potentially lose themselves to the likes of outside factors. Economic segregation within the Los Angeles area causes other factors such as underachievement in schools, social isolation, and fewer opportunities for minority students. The Los Angeles area is known for its diversity, which is evident in their school system, but a factor that isn't acknowledged enough is economic segregation within the community, which forces specific minority groups into unfortunate school circumstances. This is due to an increase in the poverty gap of students in LAUSD, along with increasing isolation of races throughout Los Angeles. If people don't take into consideration the effects of such conditions, minority students will eventually be left behind, disadvantaged, and stuck in the same situation as their peers. A solution to combat this issue is by integrating equalized funding through the Los Angeles school systems, installing enrollment policies, and investing in the development of public education. Without the proper opportunities for minority students in underdeveloped areas of Los Angeles, this could potentially lead to a constant cycle of injustice and inequality for students.
Coming to the United States means a better life for their children. But after arriving, many find themselves living in dangerous places, says Gary Orfield, co-director of the UCLA Civil Rights Project.
They're the places where the gangs are concentrated, the crime is concentrated, there's no real job market, and the schools are what we call dropout factories. A lot of immigrant parents don't understand that.
In the U.S., the public school a student attends depends on where the child lives. Those in more affluent neighborhoods usually attend better public schools. According to the UCLA Civil Rights Project, in California, Latino students are the most segregated in the country.
And it's not just segregation by ethnic group, it's also economic segregation.
The UCLA Civil Rights Project says that in 1993, California Latinos attended schools where almost 60% of the student body was poor. By 2012, they were in schools where more than 70% of the students came from low-income homes. Critical care nurse Andrew Lara grew up in a predominantly Latino neighborhood in the 1980s. The solution in those days was to bus minority students like him to a mostly white school with a better academic program.
I think because I was better prepared academically, the notion of making that transition to college and doing well was easier for me than it was for my brother and sister who really never went on to college.
The importance of establishing outlets such as student unions or organizations for youth minorities in the Los Angeles area is vital when it comes to developing a safe community for others to congregate together, whilst facing issues such as racism on school grounds. These three different resources provide various perspectives of past and current student issues, also providing a sense of understanding while living in such a diverse community. Residing in such a place as Los Angeles makes it difficult for students to realize stereotypes placed upon them from their peers, as well as misinterpretations of how someone might perceive them as a student or as an individual. More importantly, willingness of minorities to understand their differences and disadvantages amongst their community will lead to progressive changes in the younger generations. This provides minority groups spanning throughout the U.S. the opportunity to express their experiences and opinions, allowing for more inclusion and awareness on present issues.